Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today to share some of my new projects from our upcoming Laguna Sunrise fabric collection. This fabric collection will be showing up in stores in September of 2024, but I've got all of the patterns ready now. In this video, I'm going to share 3 of the new patterns because they're a little bit on the smaller side. A wall hanging, a small quilt, and then a third pattern that has 2 table runners and a table topper. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll share all of these projects with you. Okay, I'm going to start off with something that you've probably seen before. This is just my free pattern for a mini charm pillow or table mat. The pattern is shown in our Strawberry Lemonade collection, and I'll put a link in the description where you can download this if you don't have it already, but I made one right away with our Laguna Sunrise collection, and it's just a really nice size little runner. Okay, next up, this was actually the first quilt that I started with this collection. Our fabric arrived right before Christmas, and I knew I had lots of half square triangles to make for this. And so I thought, you know what, if I get those ready to go and I get little chances to sneak into my sewing room over the holidays, I can start making half square triangles. And sure enough, I had all of the half square triangles pieced by New Year's. But then it took me a little bit longer to get the blocks put together. And it actually was the final quilt that I finished. I think I got a little nervous and started making all my big projects. Anyway, this is a project that I've been wanting to make for a long time. It's the Lilies wall hanging. It finishes at 34.5 by 34.5, and it is actually charm pack friendly. So if you have 2 matching charm packs, you'll be able to make all of the half square triangles that you need for the flowers. And additionally, if you want to use triangle paper, you can use the triangle paper sized for charm packs to make your half square triangles, since you're making so many of each type. You don't have to use the triangle paper though, and the pattern is actually written without the triangle paper instructions. But then you'll just need your green prints for your stems, and I use this, and leaves, I use the same print for everything to kind of unify it. And you can get the little posts from your charm squares. And then after that, you'll just need background, your sashing inner border, and binding and border. And I used our really dainty print from Laguna Sunrise for the back of this. The same print is actually what I used for the binding in the teal. And for the border, I just love the triple flower in the aqua. And I love how the binding fabric just picks up that darker flower in the triple flower. If this looks familiar to you, it might be because I also have a larger quilt pattern called the Lily quilt that I designed with our Harper's Garden fabric collection, I believe. It is a large block quilt, and I love that quilt. It reminds me of my grandmother, who had a lily quilt that her grandmother had made for her. But ever since making that, I've always wanted to have a fun wall hanging to hang up and just to remind me. And so the design is different. The blocks are much smaller. So I would consider this an intermediate level quilt. So you might be able to do it if you're a confident beginner and you can get your half square triangles all trimmed to the exact size, but I would generally call this an intermediate level quilt. Okay, let's move on to another project. Okay, next up, I'm going to share the Simply Charming pattern, and it actually has 2 table runners and a table topper. And if this sounds familiar, it's because it is also a new version of an older Simply Charming pattern I had. The older Simply Charming pattern just had the table topper and the on-point runner. And I always felt like I should have had a straight set runner included as well. And so I decided to update it into a booklet format and make all 3 projects in this collection and just really wanted to add in this straight set runner. So this is also a charm pack friendly project, and you can make the topper and one of the runners from one charm pack. I think you might need to get an additional charm pack if you were going to try to make all three. But it's a really simple and fun block. It looks great in a straight set quilt and on point. I just kind of mixed and matched for the straight set runner, and I used two different reds for my outer border and binding. I actually backed this in Strawberry Lemonade because it was just so easy for a runner to use that 60-inch wide fabric. Next up is the On Point runner, and so I decided to just kind of go with the blues. It is on point, so you'll have these setting triangles, and I didn't want to just use a plain fabric. I used the triple floral on white, but I really kept to the aquas and the blues for this, and once again Strawberry Lemonade for the backing. I should give you the finished sizes of the runners. The straight set runner is 16 inches by 54, and this On Point runner is 18 inches by 45, so it's a little bit smaller. And then the topper, which I absolutely love, it's perfect for just putting on the diagonal over a table, is also straight set, so really great beginner project. You could also make a few more blocks, and this would make a great baby quilt if you made, say, 12 blocks or even 20 blocks with 2 charm packs, and it would make a really great baby quilt. So, but I like putting this on a table and just kind of flipping it on the diagonal is how I use it. And I did use a print from Laguna Sunrise for the backing on this. I used our multi little X print with the dots and the red triple floral for the binding, and the border is the little pinwheels on aqua. So really great pattern because it allows you to make the topper or one of the 2 different runners. Okay, and last but not least, I have my Starry-Eyed quilt. And this is actually a nice little sized quilt. It's 47.5 by 60.5. And so I really feel like it's a great smaller quilt for a child. It would make a great quilt for a baby. You could even make fewer blocks. You could even do a 9-block little square baby quilt. That would be really fun. But this is also great for scraps or your stash. It uses fat eighths, so you only need 12 different fat eighths, which means that you could actually do it with 6 fat quarters too. So 12 fat eighths or 6 fat quarters, and then you are going to need sashing, and that could be the background fabric too. I just wanted to use this little print from Laguna Sunrise for a sashing and used it. You can use scraps for your cornerstones or whatever you want. Another thing is you will need a coordinating accent fabric, 1/2 yard, and that is what I used for the centers of all these blocks. And I went with a light, kind of busy floral, but you could also do this with a darker print. I actually thought about doing aqua in the center of all the blocks and thought that would be really, really fun too. So this is just a really fun project. The pattern cover is actually designed in our Strawberry Lemonade collection. I made this pattern for our Strawberry Lemonade project packages, and I never actually got it sewn with Strawberry Lemonade, so I decided to make it in Laguna Sunrise, and really, really happy about how it turned out. I'll show you the backing. I went with Strawberry Lemonade on the backing. Again, it's a smaller quilt, and that 60-inch wide backing fabric from Strawberry Lemonade was just perfect for backing smaller projects with. But I did use the triple floral for the binding, and I also used the coral, the large floral in the soft coral for the border. So just another really fun project. Again, I have 8 new patterns, and this is just projects from 3 of them. We'll be doing videos on the other patterns. throughout the month of March. And you can find the links for all of those patterns in the description. So I wanted to also mention my quilters, and I actually used 3 different quilters for all of these projects that I shared with you today. The little mini free pattern and the 3 projects for the Simply Charming pattern were all quilted by my friend Vicki, who lives just a mile or so away from me and is always so awesome to get things quilted up quickly, especially when we're filming. The Lilies wall hanging has custom quilting on it by my friend Val Krieger. A beautiful job on that. And then this one, the Starry-Eyed, has a digital all-over pattern that was quilted by my friend Marion. So just want to give a shout out to those quilters. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video and learning about the Starry-Eyed quilt, the Lilies wall hanging, and the Simply Charming table runners and table topper. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.